Police in South Africa say they've shot dead 2 black men. They say a crowd of several hundred were throwing stones at police patrols in a township near Cape Town. That's in an area subject to the state of emergency, which means journalists are not allowed to report freely there.
The KGB agent Vitaly Yurchenko is on his way home from Washington to Moscow. During a visit to the State Department, he convinced officials that he really wanted to go. But the American government has denied his claim that he was kidnapped by the CIA. They say he defected of his own free will.
In Colombia, 22 people are reported to have died when government troops stormed the Supreme Court building to end an occupation by left-wing guerrillas. Radio stations in the capital Bogotá said hundreds of people had been held inside the building for several hours. One of the most popular pirate radio stations has gone off the air. Lazer 558 had been operating from a ship in the North Sea for 18 months, but they had to send out a mayday call after developing electrical trouble in last night's heavy seas. They were escorted into Harwich Harbour by the government ship, which had been trying to stop Lazer getting supplies from the mainland.
Radio Lazer's buccaneering days on the high seas are over, and it was a British government ship who brought the renegade in, along with a helicopter and police launches. Radio Lazer went off the air last night after a North Sea storm sabotaged her electrical power. In the end, she was rescued by the government ship which had tried to scuttle her from the airwaves. Tonight, the pirate ship, which used to carry cattle up the English coast, put into Harwich. A phalanx of police and customs men then set off for the ship to interview the disc jockeys and crew. It seems that on Lazer tonight, they'll have to face music of a different kind as the investigators try to find out who did what.
Lazer 558, where you're never more than a minute away from music.
Radio Lazer's American disc jockeys have been blasting pop music at millions of European listeners for 18 months. It's against British law to advertise or supply Radio Lazer, and for the past few months, a government ship has blockaded the pirates to make sure no one did.
We are Lazer 558, playing you all the hits all of the time.
With Radio Lazer scuttled, the pirate airwaves are now ruled by Radio Caroline. She's been putting out pop for 21 years off and on. She sounds strong, but her end could be near as well.
Talks got underway today in an effort to settle the row over obscene graffiti by pupils at Poundswick High School in Manchester. Teachers, leaders and education officials have been meeting at the conciliation service ACAS to try to find a formula to end the strike which has virtually closed the school. The dispute started 6 weeks ago when the Education Authority reversed a decision by the school governors to expel 5 pupils. Keith Halstead reports.
Only 15 out of the 1,000 pupils at Poundswick High School arrived for classes this morning. With 50 teachers either suspended or on strike, the remaining staff are working to an emergency timetable, providing about 10% of normal lessons. This third-year chemistry class would usually be attended by 28 pupils. Today, there's only 1. The canteen has stayed open, but instead of 350 lunchtime meals, they're now serving 6 children a day. Headmaster Keith Halstead has kept Poundswick open for the last 6 weeks, even though most classrooms have been empty.
I think perhaps the best way to describe it is sad. There is a sparkle. The cleaners have got a very nice sparkle on the building after a number of weeks without children, but the real sparkle obviously comes when we've got children and staff in school.
If the talks at ACAS do produce an early settlement, staff at Poundswick say the school could return to normal within a few days. The priority then will be for pupils taking examinations next summer to catch up on a growing backlog of work.
That was Paul Newman reporting there, not Keith Halstead. A mother who gave birth to Siamese twins has been talking about the bittersweet experience of the operation to separate them. One of the twins died, but the other survived, even though they were joined at the chest. Now Holly Rich is 8 months old and well enough to travel back to her family's home in Texas.
Watching Holly playing with her sister, it's hard to believe what she's been through. She was born joined to her twin sister Carly at the chest and abdomen. Many of their vital organs were linked. Their hearts shared one cavity. A team of 28 surgical staff at Great Ormond Street Hospital carried out a 7-hour operation to separate them. Carly died 6 weeks later.
It was I suppose, a bittersweet situation. It was sad to have lost her, but Holly was still alive and fighting. So I felt I couldn't be too mournful and sad because it wasn't fair for Holly. You know, I wouldn't wear black because I thought, no, Holly's still alive. I'm still rejoicing, although I was sad because of the loss of Carly.
And what sort of a baby is she now?
Oh, she's an actress. She's an angel. She really is. She never cries. A few months ago, I didn't really think this day would come, you know, that I've got her home and she's normal. She goes to the clinic like a normal baby. She's gaining weight. She's eating. It's fantastic.
I like playing with her.
And what else?
Oh, I like giving the toys to Holly.
And what else? Anything else?
Well, she plays in the bath with me.
Holly is still very small for her age, but she's gaining weight and strength all the time. Doctors say she can look forward to a normal life.
The Princess of Wales was snubbed today when she visited the Australian capital, Canberra, but it turned out to be a case of mistaken identity and eventually was all sorted out.
Today, the Princess was going solo for the first time on this tour, and she got a magnificent snub. 4-year-old Gary took his present straight to the lady-in-waiting. Gary had been told princesses wear hats, and it took a while to convince him that a pillbox hat counted. Not that he seemed at all put out. The princess has just agreed to become royal president of Barnardo's in Australia, and she'd come to inaugurate a project to help parents of severely handicapped children. The attention directed at such a project by a princess can help it to succeed. While all this was happening, Prince Charles arrived in a downpour at a science centre. Seizing an umbrella, the prince set off for a swift walkabout among the bedraggled enthusiasts. That way, he said, they could all go home without waiting until he finished his official programme. By evening, they were back together for a reception at Parliament House, the princess continuing with her series of butterfly stockings. They spent an hour mingling with MPs and senators, a chance to work their charms on those who govern Australia. This is Brian Hanrahan for the 9 o'clock news in Canberra.
9 rather special men went to a lunch in London today. They'd been chosen as 1985's Men of the Year. Some were there because of their achievements, others because of their tremendous courage.
Each of the 9 men was being honoured because of his individual brand of courage, like Simon Weston. He'd been among the soldiers at Bluff Cove in the Falklands when his ship was hit by an Argentine bomb. At the lunch to honour Simon and the other 8 modern-day heroes, Frank Bolth gave a reminder of how the news of the Bluff Cove attack first broke.
There are reports of an Argentinian attack on the 3,270-ton landing ships Sir Galahad and St. Tristram. Robert Fox of the BBC reports that a bomb fell on the main cargo deck of the Sir Galahad, where Welsh guardsmen were preparing to disembark. Now, out of that hell, gentlemen, came Simon Weston. He was burned to the point of death. 46% of his body was severely scorched. He was not expected to live. He's had approximately 30 operations. I say approximately, they've actually lost count. Gentlemen, Mr. Simon Weston.
As Simon rose to receive his award, he was given a standing ovation. And that must have meant more than the award itself for the man who's been striving to achieve a single ambition, to be accepted.
I suppose there's still 1 or 2 people that still are shocked by my appearance, but on the whole I think it's pretty much accepted now.
That must please you.
Oh, it's a lot easier to walk into places now. You can go to the pictures and not worry about queuing up, or people don't turn around and stare and give you gasps of horror. So pretty much everything's going along really well, so I'm quite lucky.
And finally, the main points of today's news again. The Queen has opened Parliament and outlined the government's plans for the new session.
Mrs Thatcher called it a forward-looking programme.
Neil Kinnock said it was a recipe for rundown. And that's the national and international news tonight. From Julia and me, good night.
Good night.
Debates today's Queen's speech, dismissed by one opposition spokesman as the thinnest government programme for 20 years. Joining me will be the man who made that remark, the Shadow Chancellor Roy Hattersley, together with the Liberal leader David Steele and Douglas Hurd, the Home Secretary. Also on the eve of the Queen Mother's return visit to Jarrow 50 years on, the people there prepare to welcome her again. That's Newsnight tonight on BBC Two at 11 o'clock.
Good evening to you. Quite a lot of cloud around on the satellite picture and quite a lot of bright white areas as well, and more often than not that's where it's raining, and more often than not it's raining close to areas of low pressure, and we're particularly interested in that one at the moment. I'll take away the fronts to remove some of the confusion, but I'll put instead the area of rain. Now it's very interesting to watch both the area of rain and the isobars, that's the white lines, because you can see that system really develops quite nastily during the course of the next 24 hours. A load of isobars around it, so a sign of windy weather to come, and a mass of rain thrust in towards the country tomorrow evening and overnight into Friday as well. Still, that's a long way off. Let's come back and look at tonight. And it's a rather cloudy picture at the moment, and there are some outbreaks of rain around, mostly light rain, but one or two heavier bursts mixed in as well. It's begun to clear up, though, in the north, clearer weather, that is, with some scattered showers. And I think as the night goes on, this clearer weather will work its way down into the more southern parts, not the extreme south, and, as I say, still leaving one or two showers scattered about in the north, chiefly close to those coasts. As for temperatures, well, up on the last few nights, no real worries about frost, but it'll still be pretty chilly, I think, in that more northern part of Scotland. And then tomorrow, a little bit of a mess around to begin with, really. Southern England on the cloudy side, with still a little rain here and there, perhaps remaining that way really throughout the day. The more central parts dry and reasonably bright with some sunshine, but Scotland and Northern Ireland probably on the cloudy side. Again, some further outbreaks of rain, but for a time at least, I think over Scotland the rain will die away and your weather there will brighten up and you'll have some sunshine. But later on in the day, in western Scotland, Northern Ireland and many of these other western parts, cloud will thicken from the southwest, and I think before the day's out you'll have some outbreaks of rain or drizzle coming along to join the rain or drizzle that you'll have on and off in those southern counties probably throughout most of tomorrow. Most of the rain, incidentally, will be showing up in the evening, I think, some heavier bursts then spreading up from the southwest. Temperatures up on today's, 12 degrees Celsius is around about the normal, 54 Fahrenheit, and because the wind will have eased off, I think it'll feel a little bit warmer. That's all for now. A very good night to you.